Hey my Legion, how y'all doing today? This was a video that's supposed to be for last week when I saw the shows and I didn't get a chance to do it. I got behind on stuff. And I want to do like a reviews of Mystery Science Theater 3000, which I saw an episode on Netflix. I never talked about the show. I think I should. And also the remake of Pete's Dragon along with the original. Now, I'm going to start with Mystery Science Theater 3000 and talk about my history of the show. Well, first of all, they have like select episodes, like 22 or so on Netflix. And I decided to see the one where they did one of my favorite so bad it's good movies, Horrors of Spider Island. And it's the Horrors of Spider Island. I actually did a video about that, and that's when I met. That's actually the video I did. I mentioned Joey's World Tour. Cause I did like a shout out to him, and he said he liked playing Nine from Outer Space, and he did a shout out to me. That's the first time, you know, I did not a collab, but I met Joey, and you know, way back in summer 2013. We've been friends ever since. Anyways, you know, the plot Horrors of Spider Island. It was like two different movies. It was supposed to be like a Filipino. It made in the Philippines of these girls stranded on an island and dealing with they're being stranded. The other one's like about these monsters attacking this guy and this guy becoming like a monster too, and they have to fight the monster and horrible looking spiders. And Mystery Science Theater decided to do a spoof on it. And basically, that's like this guy and these two robots are destined to be in this one ship where they're supposed to be seeing bad movies. And they do like commentary on the movies. It's like the art of speaking during the movie theater when a movie's playing. Like whenever I was in the Army during the in the AFN theaters, Army Air Force theaters, AFN, and talking during the movies and stuff. And usually it's very entertaining, very funny, and their take on Horrors of Spider Island is really funny. The one thing about that is I usually like to watch the movie first by itself and then watch their take on it, which is really good. And I remember the very first time I saw the show was whenever I was growing up in the 80s. We didn't have cable because it was different because cable didn't come out to certain areas. You know, it had to be like a really highly popular area. We were out in the country at the time in Cranesville. Now they're all over the place. It doesn't matter. But at the time they didn't, we just had a rabbit ears. My dad wanted cable really bad. You know, and cable came out in 1978, I believe. And by like 82, 83, my dad wanted it. But we got a VCR and stuff like that. I mean, we did all right. My dad said, I hate regular TV. We had rabbit ears. We were able to see like that in Canadian TV. Well, anyways, at my mom's, whenever I was in, I came home for leave during Christmas and New Year's in Fort Bragg in 1990, and she had cable. And she had there was a channel called Comedy Central. And Comedy Central back then was a lot different than it was now. Comedy Central was kind of low budget back then. They had Dr. Katz, they had Higgin Boys and Gruber, and they had like this one guy, I can't remember his name. He had like a talk show, and they had Mystery Science Theater 3000. And they like showed it in like blocks. I remember I taped a whole big thing, like a 6-hour block of the show on a VHS tape. I took it back and watched it in the barracks when I came back to Fort Bragg. And they had Mystery Science Theater 3000 on it. I think I taped both parts, and they had like First Spaceship to Venus on it. And I fell in love with the show. It was really great. And it's weird because when we finally did have cable, they didn't offer, back in the night, they didn't offer Comedy Central or any of those channels. And then finally, I remember, Rhino Home Video had a thing where you could like a subscription where you get like a videotape a month. And I remember I got the one that had Pod People on it, and I bought another, and they had another one. I sent it back. I canceled my subscription. It was like it was getting too expensive. $20 a month for one. That's too much. But I really enjoyed the show. I remember I bought one in Buyers Fair called Mitchell. And then whenever we did get, it was weird because it was like, the one channel was like half a day was VH1 and half a day was Comedy Central. This is before all the digital stuff happened. And then Well, I saw a couple episodes of this Mystery Science Theater 3000, and then they stopped. Of course, they stopped showing the show. And then it went to Sci-Fi Channel, and then at the time I didn't have the Sci-Fi Network. But I mean, it's been through a lot of different channels and stuff. Great, very entertaining show. I've seen a lot of episodes since. This is just back at the time. And they made a movie. I remember watching Cisco News back in 95 or 96, and they said that there was a movie version of this where they spoofed a very prestigious science fiction film called This Island Earth. Now, I remember I saw the movie. I saw it on Cinemax. They talked about it. That's the only people I ever heard talk about the movie on a review show. It didn't play around here. Only played in selective theaters, and it was very entertaining and very funny. I really liked the show. I saw it on Cinemax like a year later. I really enjoyed it. I've seen it like a couple times after that. I know there's one guy that did a book of science fiction references, and he always hated the show. He thought that they were always disrespecting these movies, but I mean, I think they were just having fun with it. And I'm so glad to see it on Sci-Fi Network. I was surprised because usually it's movies from the 50s and 60s usually, and then they had some from the 70s. I was surprised they had Zombie Nightmare on there. I remember renting that in Fort Bragg. I hated it with Adam West. That was from 87 or 88 or even 89. I can't remember. That's pretty new for them to re-reviewing that one. I gotta watch that sometime. But I really enjoyed the episode, and I give Mystery Science Theater 3000 9.5 out of 10. Sometimes some of the stuff when they're not, well, the best stuff is when they're spoofing the movie. When they're not, it's only okay. But I mean, it's still entertaining. I do like the show. I tried to get my dad into it. My dad said, "What the hell is this shit?" He wasn't a fan. But I loved it. He probably been laughing at some of them spoofing Horrors of Spider Island, though. Yeah, it was a great show. So, they have that. My personal history Mystery Science Theater 3000. And then we're going on Pete's Dragon. Now, I remember seeing the original, back in the 70s, usually when a Disney film came out, you know, and Mom would take us to see it. And some of them, you know what I mean? Like some of the obscure ones, like One of Our Dinosaurs is Missing. I should probably do a review of that sometime, maybe. But my dad took us to see that one. Then, like, you know, movies like The Rescuers and The Cat from Outer Space. I should definitely do a review of that one. And she took us to see Pete's Dragon. Now, back in the 70s, it was kind of, Disney was having, I don't feel bad for Disney, though. They make money hand over fist. But at the time, they were having big problems with some of their live-action movies. That's why they end up doing, like, their first PG-rated movie, Black Hole, in 78 or 79. And, you know, from then they end up doing, like, Touchstone with, like, R-rated movies and stuff. And it was different. But Pete's Dragon, I remember seeing in Cinema World, and I loved it as a kid. My sister and I gave a full-on 10 out of 10. The movie, the original, is far different than the remake. Because this is more of a review of the remake, but I got to talk about the original first. The original is like a musical. And it's about this girl who's an orphan who's got adopted by an abusive foster family. Now, all that is done for comedic effect, as horrible that sound. They handle it really well because it's like some dark material in a G-rated film. And she has this dragon that helps her out of imaginary dragon that's invisible, and then it comes to life, you know, and it's visible and then invisible in different parts. And it's a musical, and it had like Helen Reddy, Shelley Winters, Mickey Rooney, a whole bunch of stars. Red Buttons was in it. And it was actually nominated for Academy Award for both song and then I think adapted score. And I love the movie. I haven't seen it in forever until back in the 90s when my niece was little. I rented a whole bunch of Disney movies. I remember I rented Pete's Dragon. I was surprised. It was like over 2 hours. It was like 2 hours, 14 minutes or something like that. I was like, holy crap, I don't remember being that long. Now, I remember watching it. I don't think it holds up as well as it did when I was a kid. You know, when I was a kid, which is the most important one, it gets a 10 out of 10. I mean, I seen it in the 90s with my niece, maybe a 7 out of 10. I don't know if she was, I think she liked it, but I don't think she was that enthused with it. But, you know, there's that disconnect, you know. But then now on to the remake. Now, the remake had Robert Redford in it. That's the biggest star in it. And it's more sad than anything else. And this one, like this kid, he's reading a book and said, they were talking about being on a grand adventure, and his parents are about ready to be on a grand, and they hit a deer, and then you see the car flying, and they show the aftermath of the car being torn upside down. Apparently, both the kids' parents were killed, sadly. And they do so many movies where the parents get killed or die or something. It's so depressing. But they handle it in a way it's not as sad as it was in the beginning of Fly Away Home, which was really depressing. And then he picks up his stuff and goes into the woods, and these wolves chase him, and then he finds this giant dragon. It's a fabled dragon that Robert Redford was talking about at the beginning of the movie. And he becomes friends with him, and then it says 6 years later, and then his kid's been living in the woods for 6 years. The giant dragon. And then, you go to Robert Redford, and you see his daughter's like a forest ranger. And eventually, they find him. And they take him into their own as a... Well, they're going to put it... They try to acclimate him into finding a family and stuff like that, And it's more sad than anything else. There's not that much comedy relief in this one like there was in the other one. Almost none. It's a really good movie, but boy, it can get kind of depressing. Now, Jeremy Jahns, I saw the review from Jeremy Jahns, and he said Pete's Dragon was barely in the movie. I thought he was in the movie fine. I mean, he was in the movie a lot. I think more than King Kong was in King Kong Skull Island. Even though this Pete's Dragon was nowhere near as good as Kong Skull Island. Kong Skull Island was awesome. And, I mean, it's actually a really good movie. It has no ties to the original. The only real tie that it has to the original movie, besides the title, is that the dragon kind of looks, the CGI dragon, his facial features kind of looks like the original Pete's Dragon somewhat. And then the dragon's far bigger in this movie, Pete's Dragon, and the cartoon Pete's Dragon, I think it might have been 10 feet tall, and that was it. But I mean, in this one, he was like monstrous sized. But that's really the only similarity. I mean, it's a good film. This is too much of a kind of a bummer. I'd probably give that like an 8 out of 10. It is a good film. It's just kind of depressing. So, that's my review of Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Pete's Dragon. I hope you liked this very long-winded video. And until next time, bye, please. Take care of my Legion.